What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what really moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi had a absolutely kick-ass day, up 4.86%, extending that as well after hours. And even going into today, I did feel that the second half of the trading day, the market was actually going to go lower, but opposite happened. So today was just full-on euphoria, FOMO, and I was under the impression, like I said in my pre-market, that we were going to inch lower because of this data point coming out tomorrow. So kind of last minute fears. So the Michigan consumer sentiment over the last 5 occurrences has all prompted a pullback. So something to kind of keep in mind for tomorrow. But aside from that, market was absolutely loving the tariff updates. So it looks as though there's going to be a deal very soon, probably tomorrow, with India, South Korea. You also have a lot of updates coming from China. Canada, not so much, but there seems to be a lot of big updates coming down the pipeline. Mark is absolutely loving it. So yeah, let me know your viewpoint on that in the comments below. SoFi did put out news though this morning. SoFi helps student loan borrowers navigate life transitions with new flexible refinance options. So I think in general this should be good. Adds another element to incentivize member growth and people to move over and switch to SoFi. But coming from to play devil's advocate and a bear standpoint, which you never know, this is the last week essentially before their earnings. You could see some negative ratings coming out, but I think a bearish analyst might really focus on the increase in risk that this might bring towards SoFi. Even though SoFi generally is fairly safe and they've done a lot of mitigating steps through Galileo and whatever else to protect their bottom line, I think a bear might spin this. But nonetheless, I think this is good for member growth, and of course member growth goes up, everyone is happy, product goes up, deposits go up, everyone, like I said, is a-okay. But today there was no new ratings, so you never know, maybe tomorrow or possibly even on Monday we might have some last minute ratings. Doesn't make sense, but that's kind of what happens with SoFi. But aside from the news that did come out early this morning, shorts did return 445,000 shares. 12.93% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 139.24 million shares. So good to see shorts finally starting to ease off, catching on to the drift where SoFi is going to go. As I mentioned, even I think over the weekend, my video, Elliott Wave Technicals at that point was really signaling that SoFi was going to get to roughly around that mid 12s to kind of the high 13s. So that seems to be coming to fruition, assuming the Michigan consumer sentiment comes in line with expectations. Google just had their earnings and God, it was amazing. So that should really drive a lot of the tech sector and obviously fintechs first thing tomorrow. And obviously the rest will be dependent on tariff updates and then, like I mentioned, the Michigan consumer sentiment. But all in all, shorts returning 445,000 is a-okay with me. Cost to borrow minimum is negative, so this is the first time kind of breaking that. I think it's 4 consecutive day trend of it being positive. So in case you're new, that cost to borrow minimum means that there is brokers out there physically paying people to short SoFi. But today there was 12 million in calls, 3.52 in puts. 50% of all the options being done today were optimistic in nature. Kind of low dollar value though in comparison to yesterday. So yesterday was 26 million, day prior was 15 and then 13. So all in all, nothing really to worry about. Put/call ratio still is fairly optimistic. And even if we kind of look at over the last 3 days, you had on the 22nd, it going up 5.43%, 4.17, and then 4.81. So SoFi is on a kick-ass run. So let me know your general thoughts on that. And then based on the bulls, they are under the impression that it will get to kind of that $12.50 to $13 range by close of business day tomorrow, and then going to extend that even further the week ending May the 12th. Then aside from that, the bears are anticipating for it to be a sub $11, which is kind of extreme. I don't see that being feasible, even if like this data point tomorrow is negative, and probably worst case scenario, I don't see that being touched. So maybe they're just kind of grasping at straws a little bit. But these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So definitely a fair amount of buying that did happen today. So a lot of buying first thing, a couple of pockets of selling, but that's relatively normal. Any stock running up as much as SoFi has, or any other stock in a short time period, you're going to have some profit taking and whatever. But over the last 5 days, SoFi did go up 11.68%. But these are all the Darkpool transactions. So this one just happened 6 minutes ago. So 2.66 million, 216,000 shares in that one transaction. And then aside from that, that seems to be the only one. Actually, no, right over here. So around 11 o'clock, roughly the same time period. So it is fair to assume that it might be the same entity, but 5.32 million and then 2.66. So definitely interesting to see big money getting in at that stage. 2.6, 1.1. So yeah, a lot more big transactions throughout the trading day. But with it closing at $12.31, it's kicking ass and taking names, trading between this pivot and this S1. 12.46 is going to be that next strong target / resistance. And most likely, again, assuming just Armageddon doesn't happen because of that data point, I could easily see us trading between these 2 points, so this R1 and the pivot. Again, for those of you that remember over my weekend video, that's exactly where I did state that I felt SoFi was going to land by Friday. So definitely, I think a lot more room. FOMO is going to be kicking in tomorrow, leading into their earnings. So 1401 will be the next kind of strong target above that 1246, and 1091 is going to be a strong support. But like I said, even worst case scenario, I don't see that being feasible. But on the actual chart itself, so you do have that $12.56 right over here. That's the 50-day moving average. Typically that's a big deal for SoFi, result in usually like a 30% swing. So again, that is going to be a key element to really watch for tomorrow. And today it did close above that 200-day moving average, second consecutive day. So that does really signal that there is going to be a trend change with SoFi, meaning breakout period. So I think bigger and better things are coming down the pipeline. Let me know your general thoughts on just what the hell has been happening in the broader market. It feels like the market just took some steroids this week and just is like going like a MF, like a crazy person. So I'm not complaining. I wish I would have bought more in obviously the lower range. I'm glad to have bought though. It does suck though for those individuals that did sell during those kind of periods, but that's just the nature of the game. That's kind of the fun part of the market. So let me know your thoughts. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? And when it comes down to this news, am I missing anything? Do you think it's fair to assume that bears would feel that this is just SoFi increasing some potential risk? But I guess, again, flip side, it could be a positive for member growth. So what's your general thoughts on this actual news from SoFi itself? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon and give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.